Hi everybody, this is Amy Rich with amyrich.net. I'm here today to share with you a fun project using the Nature's Harvest bundle from the July to December mini catalog. I hope you enjoy it. It uses a couple of cool techniques. Thanks for watching. Oh my gosh, when I saw this bundle in the July to December mini catalog, I kind of went crazy and I knew this was one of the first things I had to purchase. So it includes the Nature's Harvest stamp set, as well as the Harvest dies. And if you'll notice, I feel like these products coordinate nicely or are companion pieces or maybe extensions of the Quiet Meadow bundle from the annual catalog. I just like the way the dies are in this die set, and this has a similar feel to it if you ask me. So you can certainly get the dies all on their own, but there are a couple of the dies that coordinate with stamps in the stamp set. And then what I also love is that they come with a couple of label dies too. So it really encompasses everything you need in dies. And I just love the harvesty feel when you combine it with the harvesty colors. So we are going to start with the Saddle Brown Stays On ink pad from the annual catalog. And we're going to stamp this image right here onto some watercolor paper. And you can see I've done one already. But we're going to take that stamp, ink it with the Saddle Brown ink. And that just kind of lightens up the outline rather than having that stark Stays On black. So there we've got our Saddle Brown flowers, and we're going to let that dry just a second just to make sure it's all ready to go. And I'm going to color those with my water painters. The water painters come in a pack of 3. It's got there's a wide brush here and then a couple of thin brushes, which is what I'm going to use for coloring this image. We're going to start with Bumblebee ink, and I've got some Bumblebee cardstock that I'm going to be using with this project, so I thought that worked great. And I'm just going to ink up a clear block with some Bumblebee ink, and then I want to make sure that our water is flowing through the water painter. So I'm just going to squeeze and then just make sure it's coming through onto our brush. Then I'm going to grab that ink and just do some coloring. So I'm just going to grab, start on the inside of the flower and then work my way down each petal so that it gets lighter as we get to the ends. And I'll do that for all of the flowers. I'm going to clean that off on just a scrap of grid paper here. And I can always use that grid paper for something else later, but it's just good to get some of that color out of there. Then we'll go in with the early espresso ink. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to use a different corner of my black. You could, of course, use different blacks for the different colors. I find it easier to just clean up one block. So then I'm going to just color in. You can see I started dark in the corner, and then I worked my way out, and it lightens up a little as we go. What I love about using the watercolor paper is that it absorbs nicely, so you don't get pilling of the paper. And it just also is a more, it's got a warmer feel. Oh, that one doesn't have a center. And then again, we're going to clean that off here. Finally, we're going to come in with some Old Olive ink and use yet another corner. And then we're going to color in those stems and leaves. So I'm going to start with the stems. And you can maybe switch if you wanted to the thinner brush at this point. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to use that thinner brush for. But I'm going to do a nice light overlay of Old Olive on all of the leaves and stems. And what you'll see what I did there is I just took from this area here because that's where I knew a little bit lighter of the Old Olive wood can be gotten from right here in this section. And then I'm going to go in with the smaller tip. And we're going to grab some more highly concentrated Old Olive ink over here. And then I'm just going to highlight some sections. So it'll just shade in those leaves and stems a little bit more. I need some more water flowing through here, I think. There we go. So then I'm just going to highlight those veins in the leaves. And if you want it a little bit darker, you can always come back and add a little bit more concentrated ink. And next I'm going to cut that out using the coordinating die and my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, also known as the Boss. So then what I get is this really cool cutout of my flowers. I think they look fabulous, don't you? So let's bring in then a piece of 3 3/4 by 5.5 Bumblebee cardstock. And this one I have embossed with the TIMEWORN Type 3D embossing folder from the mini catalog. And that is all ready to go. And then I'm going to grab a piece of 5.5 by 8.5 early espresso cardstock. I have already scored it in half because it was in my scrap bin or folder like that. But now I'm going to score it in half again. So I'm going to go to the 2 1/8 inch mark and score it there. So I have it scored in half at 2 1/8 and now 4 1/4. And then we're going to fold that forward like normal. And then on the other score line, we're going to fold that back. So now we've got what in my circles we call a Z-fold card. And then we're going to add our piece of a bumblebee onto that front piece. Now, take a look. We want it to line up top, bottom, and the right side. And so we want to leave a border here. So be careful where you put your adhesive. So I'm just going to leave my finger there. Oops. And then I'm going to add adhesive, plenty of it, obviously, there. And then we'll layer this on top and adhere it as I showed you. Then we're going to go to the inside of the card and we're going to adhere this piece. This is a piece of 4 by 5 1/4, very vanilla cardstock. And then I'll bring in a piece of 3/4 inch by 5 1/4 inch Harvest Meadow Designer Series paper. And we don't want to leave the inside naked. Sometimes I do, but today I don't. So we'll just put that along the edge right there. And now let's work on the outside. So this piece right here, we are going to use our blending brushes to create a really pretty background. So I'm bringing this grid paper back in. See, I knew I would need it. And we're going to start with our CAJUN CRAZE ink and a blending brush. And I'm going to get that nicely inked up. Sorry for the shaking. And I always brush off a little bit on my scratch paper. And then we'll go over and over and over this area, darkest at the bottom, working our way up lighter. Then we'll bring in a little pumpkin pie and another blending brush. I try to keep them generally in their same colors, you know, so I've got an orange one and I've got a yellow one. Then I don't have to wash them so much. It's my lazy method. All right, so we're just gonna get that. Oh, is that gonna be pretty or what? Finally, we'll come in with Bumblebee and I'll get out my yellow brush. Eventually, I'd like to have them in all of the colors, but right now I don't. So that's how I'm going to use it. All right, so I've got it. It's kind of light, right? So I'm going to go back in and I want it darker here so it ombres with that pumpkin pie color a little bit better. And then I'll work my way up again. That is so pretty, don't you think? Next, I'm going to bring in our new CORK specialty paper, which is also found in the mini catalog. And I have a piece of our adhesive sheets, and I am just going to peel those back and adhere that to the back of our CORK paper. Just gonna line them up. They come in strips, which is kind of different, I thought, but it works just fine. All right, so I'm going to adhere that. Then I'm gonna run the die through, and we're gonna have, hopefully you'll agree, kind of a cattail look to it. Then when I bring that in and take the paper out of the die, and sometimes you just have to whack it a little to release an end. It's my little tip of the day. And then here we've got our cattails. Now we're going to peel that backing off, and I might have to do, if it got in, you know, with a couple of the different strips, I may have to peel off a couple backings. Then we're gonna go and adhere this to our beautiful sunset. And it is a little tricky to get it to stay still, but once you get one part down, then you can kind of smooth it out for the rest, and they'll kind of go into place, I promise. I love using the adhesive sheets for that though, because it allows it to adhere on its own, so you don't have to use any glue that gets all over your fingers or anything like that. So that's really pretty right there. Then we'll adhere that, which maybe I could have done first. That might have saved me a little bit of a pain, but we'll adhere that now to our bumblebee. And I will say bumblebee, and I think I'm not talking about bees. Sounds funny. All right, so we've got that so far. It's super pretty. And then we'll adhere this, which I kind of think I should have used the adhesive sheets on the back of that too, but I didn't. So we'll just get in there with our Stampin' Seal, and then we'll put this down and adhere it over here. Let's move that over a little bit. That's too far. Okay. And then here is one of the labels dies from that beautiful die set. And then using the early espresso ink and the beautiful thank you scripty sentiment, and we'll stamp that. It fits right onto our label, and we'll finish her up with some Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm still using up the ends of my dimensionals, which I know all of you do too. So we'll adhere that just right here onto our card. And we'll finish it off with one of my favorite ribbons. This is the faux suede early espresso ribbon from the annual catalog. I'm just gonna knot that. It's so easy to work with, incredibly easy to work with. And I just love it so much. And it knots up really nice. Then we'll add that with the glue dot. It just is the last little finishing touch that we needed on our gorgeous fall sunset. We'll trim that ribbon off with our snips, and then we can ooh and ah at how beautiful that is. Isn't it? Oh my word, it's so pretty. Now, so you don't miss a thing, please subscribe to my channel and you will get notified when I post a new video. Coming up soon is my 12 projects of Christmas, so you definitely don't want to miss that. Hope to see you again real soon.